Welcome to This Morning on Asakhe podcast, your daily dose of insightful conversation on current affairs, politics, and social issues. Please share and also follow us on social media at SiteZW. Now, stay tuned to today's episode.
A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of This Morning on Asakhe. My name is Brighton. Good morning to you, my people.
Good morning, Brighton, and good morning to our guests.
Today on the show, we're going to be interviewing Hon Caston Matewu, the Chairperson for the Portfolio Committee on Media and Broadcasting Service.
Good morning, Honorable. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Our tour basically was as part of our digitization tour. As you know, that our radio is still using analog. Some of our radio stations are still on analog. And of course, some people in Zimbabwe are still watching analog on their televisions. So basically, our tour was to ensure that we digitize the whole country, so that radio and TV signals are all digitized and are not analog. So that was the basis of our tour, to ensure that this project is finished. So I'll give you just a background. The Universal Telecommunications Union stated that every country must ensure that they have digitized their TVs and radios by 2015. So Zimbabwe is actually 9 years behind. If you look at South Africa, they no longer use analog. Botswana no longer use analog. Safe to say a few countries that are, just a very few countries are still on analog. So our committee basically was trying to investigate why are we still behind. We went around to see the boosters, the base stations, which are owned and managed by Transmedia Corporation. Transmedia is a formation of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, and is part, and also the Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe. So we went around to look at their infrastructure, to see where we are in terms of digitization. For the whole Zimbabwe to be digitized, we need, there has to be 45 stations, 45 base stations where the signal comes from. But at the moment, we only have 18 stations. It costs $1 million to have a functional base station. And then we also went to Mashava near Masvingo. So in Mashava, we have infrastructure that was erected there, but the equipment is not yet there. The digital equipment costs about 500,000. For stations like ZBC and so forth, they actually need to have their studios also digitized. And this is a process that is ongoing. At Pocket Hill in Harare, they need about 11 studios. Currently, they have 2 only. Then in Bulawayo, they only have 1 studio that is digitized, and they need about 3 of them. Nowadays, we have those transmedia decoders. If you watch ZBC on a transmedia decoder, it is 100% HD, because it's taking a digital signal from these transmitters. But if you watch ZBC on DSTV, for example, it's not so crystal clear. So what we want basically is everyone to have that decoder, but it only happens when we have done and put all the infrastructure across the country to enable that to happen.
You're coming from CCC camp and also sitting in this committee at the Chairperson. What do you think about the issue of ZBC, issue of Zimpepers, how they cover other political parties besides ZANU-PF during elections? What do you think about this? Is it fair? And what are you doing about it to ensure that there's fair coverage of all political parties?
As you know, I only became chair after the elections. And this is something that I have been banging on with ZBC about the content that they were giving us during election time, and about the unfairness of how the political parties were represented, not just on ZBC, but also on Zim papers, papers like the Chronicle, Herald, and so forth, the Sunday Mail, and so forth. So this is something that I'm really hammering them on. It's very clear in terms of the Electoral Act that everyone, every party must be given fair coverage by the national broadcaster. And I've been hammering them ever since I became chairperson to say your content must show both sides of the political spectrum, be it CCC, be it ZANU-PF, be it MDC. We must have fair coverage. And this is something I am not quite about as chairperson. Whenever I'm meeting with ZBC, whenever I'm meeting with Nick Mangwana, whenever I'm meeting with the Zim Papers editors, because at the end of the day, they have to come to our committee to request for more money. Remember, it's Parliament that appropriates money to to these organizations. So if they want more money from us, they have to show us some level of fairness, and that we expect them, as the national broadcast, as tax-funded broadcaster, to be fair in everything that they do, and to ensure that there is equality across the political realm.
What were your findings on your review on these key media institutions such as the ZBC and ZIFTESA?
To be honest, I was disappointed when I went to ZIFTESA, and I've actually, and my committee is in the process of seeing how we can deal with this, because it's not fit for purpose. ZIFTESA is supposed to be a training school, but if you go to ZIFTESA, even the chairs, those chairs for little kids, in preschool, that's the chairs that the students are using. They only have about 40 students, and all the 40 students are from Harare. And yet, this is a tax-funded school, which is supposed to be a Southern African television and film school. I'm wondering where all the money that we have been giving ZIFTESA as a nation every single year, because they are given money directly from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. But if you go there, they have no equipment. The equipment that they have, they were donated that equipment by ZBC, and the equipment is obsolete. It's not fit for purpose. You cannot train film students with equipment from 1975.
But we have a lot of worries with your information. To say ZBC is underfunded, while it's the corporation have got 7 board of directors. The other issue again to say you wanted it to be independent, while it's those board of directors are all pro ZANU-PF, and some of them are even central committee members of ZANU-PF. Then the other issue again, you talk about wanting to give licenses. The application for a license, for example, under SI 24 for 2004, it's of almost 3,000. That is the application fee. And then the operation fee is over 20,000. And are you accommodated the really broadcaster? Do you still think as it is viable, or is something which is just preventing people to apply? When you say if you wanted to apply, pay us application fee of 3,000. If you want to operate before you make any profit, pay us 20,000 operation license. It's a bit disturbing, the information you are saying. And we also have to consider the payment which were given to former executive of ZBC for you to say it's underfunded, while it's the people like Muchechetere were getting, he have got a case to answer in the courts, and what he was earning is displayed in American dollars, to say he was earning almost over $1 million a year, including benefits and perks.
I'll start with the episode Mchechetere one. In the monies that he was getting, issues to do with governance at ZBC, and issues to do with late audit. Those issues are the ones that we have been hammering on as a committee, to say you need to sort out your governance. By governance, I mean how the money is regulated at ZBC. They do get the TV licenses. They also get money from the Consolidated Revenue Fund, and they also get money from advertising. But the money they're getting from advertising and from the fiscus is very little. It's very little. But that little money is the one that was being abused. So our first meeting with the board of ZBC was to stop the abuse of money. One of the things that we have said absolutely to them is that we want to see good governance and a respect, and the money that ZBC is getting from free lessons must all be accounted for. Now, I can assure you, I can 100% assure you, I have gone through the books, I have gone to all the to all the ZBC sites, and I know what the income they are now currently getting at the moment. And it's nowhere near enough for us to go to ask them to do what we want, for example, to digitize. And I accept that the license is currently being paid are too extortionate and prevent people from actually opening a radio station or a TV station. But we are working on it now, and I can assure you, when we bring in the Broadcasting Services Act, there will be proper amendments. The community radio stations, we are saying they should be free of charge. Community radio stations really serve the people, and they must not talk politics.
Well, thanks so much, Honorable Caston Matewu, for joining us this morning. From myself, Bright Ncube,
And then
it's bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. For feedback, you can contact us on 263 777 470017. Don't forget to follow and like our social media pages.